Hello everybody and welcome to the Tiger Nexus podcast. I hope everyone is doing great. I of course am your host Ty Tiger. Today's episode is part 2 with my interview / conversation with Liam, aka ComicNerd101 on TikTok. So do make sure you follow him on TikTok. Let's get him to 1,000 followers. Now of course this is part 2, so make sure you go listen to part 1, which was the previous episode. And if you've done that already, of course, let's continue and enjoy.
Welcome to the Tiger Nexus podcast, a place where you'll find interviews with content creators and geeks alike. Your host, Ty Tiger, has delved upon the Nexus and found interesting content creators and geeks of all fandoms. This podcast is connected to the Zero Hero Network. And now, we dive in with another episode!
Oh dear.
It's fine. It's all good. I can edit it out. It's all good.
That's not a problem.
I don't mind, bro, honestly. I've had a lot worse.
I feel you there.
But yeah, it's just like, when it comes to last year, we only had Deadpool and Wolverine. That's the only movie that came out. And then this year, I don't know about you, but I quite enjoyed Captain America 4, and I quite enjoyed Thunderbolts. You know, so it definitely seems like they took the year with only one movie, and that now we've actually had some decent films. Not everyone enjoys them, sure, but I enjoyed Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts. I think they're pretty good. You know, I think they're better than some of the other things we've had. And I'm quite looking.
4 movies in total that are going to be released this year, because obviously it was Captain America, Thunderbolts, Superman, and then Fantastic Four.
Yep. And then
that's quite a lot of films in one year. And obviously, yeah, Daredevil, Born Again this year as well. Ironheart.
Wonder Man.
Oh, was that this year as well?
Yeah, it's the end of this year. Yeah.
Oh, so there'll be seven projects being released in 1 year.
I can't remember if it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year, but didn't Creature Commandos also come out? Or whatever it was called, the animated James Gunn DC TV show. And then if you want to include things that aren't Marvel and DC, we've also had a season of Invincible as well on top of that. So like there's a lot of superhero-esque media that have come out, you know, that you can watch just in the last 6 months. You know, by the time November comes, we would have had almost 10 superhero-esque type thing that you can watch. And
that's a lot to catch up on as well, especially if you're behind.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, yeah, okay, I love the fact that we're now at a time where superheroes are now more acknowledged. You know, I was the comic book geek in school. You know, I was the kid who always got picked last. I got picked on. You know, I didn't have any friends growing up because I was the comic book geek. You know, nobody wanted to hang out with me. I was the weirdo. And now everyone's the weirdo because everyone likes these things. But my mate James worded it best. It now feels like a chore. It now feels like you have to do homework just to consume everything. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of catching up to do as well. And I 100% feel you on that because I was the same guy as well growing up. Yeah, it's just so much. I feel like there's almost too much at one point because you got to think Marvel, DC. Well, Marvel obviously been around for a long time. DC coming out, Invincible, and you've also got. I'm trying to think of all the other like.
There's The Boys.
The Boys. Yeah. What other TV shows am I missing? There's probably a load that I'm like thinking of or. Yeah.
But it's just like other. It's like other things.
Star Wars as well. TV shows coming out. That's the one I was trying to think of.
You know, there's other things as well. Like you know, Disney owns the rights to Star Wars, and when it came to Miss Marvel coming out, Obi-Wan Kenobi was also coming out, and both of them didn't get the attention that they both deserved because, you know, it was, hey, Disney Plus fans, you either watch the Star Wars thingy or you watch the Marvel thingy, you know, and it like, look at Ironheart. We literally got 3 episodes in 1 week, 3 episodes in another, because Disney knew that there was something else coming up that needed the attention. And
exactly, yeah.
you know, I agree. We need to give give attention to video games. We don't have that many superhero video games that we can tackle into, and if we do, it's always Spider-Man or Batman related. And this
Yeah,
is
it's usually
why
either the Insomniac or the Arkham games. Yeah.
games like Marvel Rivals I feel like blew up really big because it's not just Spider-Man. It's the devs behind NetEase, the devs behind Marvel Rivals gave us Jeff the Land Shark. Like no one knew. Like I was the only. I've got a whole squad of people to play Marvel Rivals with. I'm the only person who knew who Jeff the Land Shark was.
Yeah, he's adorable.
Like no one understands how much I wanted this. There's a new fighting game coming out next year, called Marvel Token, I think it's called. Japanese developers are making a fighting game, and it's it's by the same people who did Blaze Blue and Guilty Gears, if you ever heard of them. And it's
played before, yeah. So that
it's
could be good.
it's very Japanese. It's very Japanese themed. But it looks incredible just off the one trailer they've shown us. It's going to be a 4v4 fighting game. They've got Miss Marvel in there. They've got Captain America, Iron Man, Ghost Rider. Looks nuts. Spider-Man's in there. Doctor Doom. There's 8 characters they've shown off or something.
Damn.
And I'm like, oh my god, a game that isn't just Spider-Man. Yes, let's go. They're doing a game, Captain America and Black Panther, which is based
I've seen
in
that.
World War One, and it's not T'Challa, it's his father, T'Chaka, that you're going to be playing as. And you're not just playing as Captain America and Black Panther. There'll also be a soldier that works with Captain America that will get their own couple of missions, and a Wakandan. I want to say she's Doja Milaje, or at least something similar, but she's also going to get a couple of missions where you can play as her as well. And it's just yes, give us more, stuff like that. And Sony have the rights to Spider-Man, and Disney have the rights to Marvel, and it's just sure, give us things we can watch. But as a gamer, I'm a huge gamer. Can I have something that isn't just Spider-Man all the time? As much as I love Spider-Man,
They could very easily, within the Insomniac, I could see them very easily doing, a Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, but with the Sinister Six done better.
Yeah, no, that'd be very cool.
That'd be really cool. I think that'd be really cool to see, just going, even if it was a case of, obviously I know that the Sinister Six have changed members as time has gone by, but even if you just had, the full roster of everyone who has been a member of the Sinister Six, and then you throw them into a situation where they have to work together to do God only knows what. I feel like that'd be kind of cool, because a lot of those characters are very much slept on. I think because it's with Spider-Man, the only villains you really mainly get are Doctor Octopus, the Green Goblin, and maybe Venom or Electro or something like that. But there's a whole plethora of other characters that you could very easily delve into and tackle into. So that's why I love the Mr. Negatives adaptation in the Insomniac Spider-Man games, because name the last time you ever heard of someone talking about, well, when Mr. Negative was relevant. Same with Chameleon, for example, as well. They could do something with him.
Yeah, honestly, so one of my favorite things that I actually enjoyed about the Insomniac games is how many villains they decided to do. Just in the first one, we had the Sinister Six and then Shocker and Kingpin.
Yeah.
So that's 8 characters there. The Miles Morales game had the Tinkerer, which wasn't a normal Tinkerer. And then we also had Prowler, which of course you're not going to do a Miles Morales origin game without the Prowler.
Oh, never. Yeah, that's a staple Miles Morales villain.
Yeah, and then in the second Spider-Man game, well, it's technically the third, but the second and main installment, we had Kraven, Venom, whatever the fuck Yuri calls herself. Carnage gets teased, Chameleon gets teased. Norman Osborn's now kind of lost it, so that's obviously kind of leaning towards Green Goblin. And things, they're building up more, and it's just this is kind of what I want from a Spider-Man game. You know, it doesn't always have to be the same thing over and over again. I love the fact, and me and my friend argued about this because he thought it was stupid, but I loved the fact that Harry Osborn was Venom in
I
the
feel like
entire.
that was a big interesting twist that he was the original Venom for it. It wasn't because there's always usually you get Eddie Brock or Scorpion, even though
Yeah.
he was Venom briefly as well. So it's either Eddie Brock mainly, Peter Parker, or Scorpion, depending on the adaptation for it. So I'm glad that they give other people a chance to be Venom. Same with Mary Jane in the most recent Venom comic series.
Yeah, okay, I know what you're on about now. I had to think, then I was like, huh? I was like, oh yeah, duh.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it gives people like a chance in the limelight to be associated with the character and what they can bring to the table with that character.
I mean, hell, in Sonic Spider-Man 2, um, when Harry officially becomes Venom and they're now like officially the big bad, he gives Mary Jane a symbiote, she becomes Scream and she becomes a boss fight. And I was
Yeah,
that blew me away. I was like, oh my god, this is genius. Because as they're fighting, if you listen to the dialogue, she's throwing everything in his face. He doesn't have a solid job. You know, he's failed Uncle Ben and Aunt May. You know, not even Harry wanted friend, you know, he's screwing up Miles, you know, and all this stuff. It's like, oh my god, this is heartbreaking, but such a cool boss fight at the same time.
exactly. Yeah, it just makes characters like that so much more compelling as well. When like you make them the bad guy or associate them with the bad guy. I know Venom, like in the comics now, is more of like an anti-hero type character, but turning an otherwise good character into the bad guy forcefully, whether it be through the use of a symbiote or mind control or whatever, just makes them like they've got so much ammo to use against the hero as well.
Yeah. And like one of my favorite things as well is the fact that they actually did anti-venom, but it's Peter Parker. He's
Yes,
anti-venom. And it's like
yes,
because they didn't do Eddie Brock. So obviously we have Harry as Venom. They didn't do Eddie Brock mentioned. He's Eddie Brock just doesn't seem to exist in this universe. And
yeah. He's
when
never mentioned once.
yeah, so when Mr. Negative kind of has that confrontation with Miles and stuff, I was kind of sat there thinking, okay, it's kind of sad when because obviously there's no Eddie Brock. But then when they did it with Peter, I was like, oh my god, that is fucking genius. Because
Exactly, it makes so much sense as well.
well, it's just like if you listen to some of the phone calls that Miles has with MJ, like when you're swinging around and stuff, there's a conversation they have where Miles says to MJ, look, something's going on with my powers. It changed color. I can do different things and I can't control it and I don't know why. And MJ's like, well, maybe it's tied to your emotions. When the first time you turned invisible, you were scared. The first time that you triggered your electrical abilities, you were, in fear of someone else. Maybe this is tied to your anger or something. Miles is always upgrading. He's always getting stronger. And it's almost like the devs went, what can we give Peter that would put him up with par with Miles? They made him fucking okay, he's not anti-venom because he's not a venom, but they gave him the anti-venom symbiote, and I'm oh my god, that is so good. And the suit looked clean as fuck as well. That
Oh,
suit
it's
looks
so
so good.
good.
It's so good. But I'm looking forward to the third game, and I'm really glad that Insomniac haven't given up on Wolverine. They announced the other day that they tweeted out saying we don't know why everyone's saying we cancelled. We're still working on it, don't worry. Because
Yeah,
obviously
exactly.
Insomniac got hacked, and which, by the way, if whoever hacks a company like that, they're just the scum of the earth. What the fuck's wrong with you? They put Insomniac back like 3 years worth of work, which is just fucking diabolical.
Yeah, exactly. You're messing with people's jobs as well, which is just dick move at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just an absolute fucking, there's no need for it. Yeah, okay, we want the Wolverine game and we want to know what it is, but if you're a gamer and you love a company so much for the games they put out, you can be patient, especially if you know how big their games are. Like, look at how big Insomniac Spider-Man 2 is. It's massive.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
it took them like 7 years to make that game. 6 years, something like that. It's not exactly
Something like
an
that.
easy. It's not an easy feat to come up with a game, is it? So like,
Exactly. And
you
figuring
know,
out Wolverine's mobility as well is so different to Spider-Man's.
yeah, it's not like Miles, where when they made the Miles Morales game, they took some things from Spider-Man and worked from like, midway up. But with Wolverine, they had to start from scratch because they haven't done Wolverine yet. They haven't got any data, any files on anything to do with this. So they had to go from the get-go. But I'm really glad that they said, look, it's still coming. You guys just have to be a bit more patient now. We're like, okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
exactly. Yeah, and Wolverine doesn't have like he doesn't really have like a main mode of transport, if that makes sense, because he's either running, he's either in a plane being dropped off somewhere, whether it be in like a plane that he's either stolen or like a cargo bob where he's been assigned a mission because of X-Force, or he's with the X-Men in the Blackbird, or he's on his bike. There's different modes of transport, so it's not like Spider-Man's where it's like, okay, we know exactly how you're going to get from point A to point B. You're going to swing.
Yeah.
With Logan, it's either what you're going to do. You're gonna run. You're going to use a motorbike. You're going to put your claws into the wall and then scale it and then jump from building to building. Or how are you going to do it? And how much are they going to translate from, or how much could they, sorry, translate from Spider-Man to Logan? Because obviously, they're two very different characters. Because yeah, Logan, you could scale up a building and then jump off of it to another one, but you're going to hit the floor on the way down. Because Logan cannot jump nearly as far as Spider-Man on account of how heavy the adamantium skeleton is, regardless of his super strength.
Yeah, exactly. It's like like even the combat would be different because obviously Spider-Man's got the strength behind him and he's got his web shooters and gadgets. Wolverine's got strength behind him, but he's got blades.
Yeah,
So even that's
one
different.
hit would kill anyone.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Is there any superhero that we haven't had a game for that you would like to have a game?
Ooh, that we haven't had a game for.
Like it doesn't have to be open world, just like a good story driven game for a character that hasn't got a game yet.
I would probably say no, the Ghost Rider. Yeah, he had a game. I was gonna say Ghost Rider, but he has like an early 2000s game that's based off of the Nicolas Cage films. I would say maybe Scarlet Witch then.
Oh,
That would be. I feel like that'd be a really interesting game to do because I could very easily see like like in the Lego Star Wars or like Lego Harry Potter games, whenever they're building things, they have like the just their hands in the air and then like a little like magical thing or like a
yeah,
force
yeah,
thing
yeah.
around whatever it is. They just all build together. I could very easily see them doing that for whether it be like a Lego game or like an open world game, whether she's got to like break through illusions and break through the reality of the illusion and pull it apart like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they did a Scarlet Witch game, it'd be really cool if you had to like, go through a kind of like a mental type state where I don't know if it'd be her mental state or maybe you had help someone else, but like you had to go into like someone's mind and that
Yeah.
changes like the level format and things. Like yeah, that'd be really cool. See, I'm trying to think of. I think I'd want a Moon Knight game,
Oh.
but like have it so the personalities would also be involved. So like you're not just a superhero, not just Moon Knight. Like maybe no, you could be Jake Lockley, and he's a bit of a, how do I say this nicely, a bastard. So maybe you have to do some like side quest as Jake Lockley, but then when you play as like Steven, you now have to go off and do something different then as well. And like each personality gets to do something different, and you're not just Moon Knight, you're also the other personalities. I think that'd be really cool.
I could very easily see them doing that in the sense of like in the God of War, like 2018 and Ragnarok games, or in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, where you've got like the Berserker rage, or sorry, the Spartan rage, like the dark side. When they
Yeah,
use
yeah.
that, everything goes red. You could very easily start off as like the base character being like Mark Spector, and then when you enter like your rage stage, you switch to Jake Lockley, and you're able to like like hit a button on the D-pad or whatever, and you switch into what's the third personality?
Steven? No. Yeah, there's Steven, Mark, and Jake.
Yes, yeah, you could go to either Steven or Mark by flicking the button on the D-pad, and that would change your costume, whether it be to Moon Knight or Mr. Knight or whoever, and then you press two buttons in, and then you enter your rage mode, and that unleashes Jake. So like the two, Mark and Steven, are constantly trying to like not fight off Jake, but they're put in a situation where like the three of them have to work together, and Jake is just itching for a fight.
Yeah.
And when the situation gets too dire, then they're like, okay, right, Jake, tag in, Jake, come on, get rid of him, sort this out.
Yeah, I've always loved Moon Knight. And I feel like the way that certain games play, that not just superhero games, but certain games play, I feel like would work really well for like a Moon Knight type game. Okay, so we mentioned Telltale games earlier. You said that you played the first Batman one.
Yes.
If you had to pick a superhero to get a Telltale game, where obviously it'd play like Batman, because obviously all the Telltale games play very similarly. We've had Guardians of the Galaxy, we've had Batman. They're the two that we've had. Is there like a character you think would work really well in like that sort of like story, karma system, dynamic sort of game?
Ghost Rider.
Yes. Oh my god, he would be very good.
Because I could very easily see it being in a situation where like you have to interrogate someone, or you're going after like the story could very easily be you're going after people who have escaped from hell, like human beings whose souls were sent to hell, and then because of XYZ they escaped. So your mission is to go after them and send them back, but you're put into situations where like people confess their sins and say like, I only did this because of this, meaning that although the guy did evil things, he did it for like the right reasons, to protect their children or for friends or for family, or they did like a Mr. Freeze thing where they did bad things to save their loved one or whatever, and you have to choose whether to use the penance there to send them back to hell, or to like set them, like let them be, like let them roam the earth or whatever, or send them to heaven or anything along those sort of lines, and that adds up to your karma, to what the end of the game would be, or something along those lines. Or even Spawn, I think would do really well. Ghost Rider definitely number one, but I think Spawn would have a lot of potential in a game like that as well.
The thing is, that's not really that far fetched either, because I just recorded episode 2 the other day for Batman, and in the episode you have to go talk to the mayor, and you actually have the choice to either go as Bruce Wayne, which Bruce
Batman,
even says because he's talking to Alfred whilst the options come up, and he says to Alfred, he goes, "Oh, I could just go as Bruce, and Alfred's like, you can, but that could end up in an argument, and you could potentially lose him as a con. You could fuck it up here." And then he's like, "Or I could go as Batman," and Alfred's like, "And you'll get your answers immediately, but the mayor then may also spread lies about Batman and how intimidating you are, even though Batman a bit more of a hero." And you could do the same with Ghost Rider. You could have it like, I could go talk to this person as Johnny, but I may not get the answers I need. Or I could go as Ghost Rider and scare the daylights out of him.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like as well with like the time limit on how much you have like time to choose your options. I feel like with Ghost Rider as well, that could be a lot. It could be a lot less time between you choosing whether you save them or like condemn them. Like those are the two options: save them or condemn them or whatever. But with John, you get a lot more time to choose your options, how you approach it. That could be very interesting, because where you would have like the as Ghost Rider, you would have the influence of Zerathos as well,
Yeah.
who would want to condemn these souls. That would be interesting.
I'm a big sucker for little details as well. I could see it where like when Johnny's considering to let Ghost Rider do it or he do it, his hand sets ablaze and you just see his hand as a skeleton on fire. And then when you make your decision, if you choose Johnny, the flame then diminishes back to normal, or if you pick Ghost Rider, the flame then continues up your body, and then your skull gets lit and everything. Like, and it's really funny. My option is so close to yours; it's unreal. I figured out that me and you have like so many like little things in common here. Because mine would have been Constantine.
That would be quite interesting, yeah.
Because the way that I see it is like, again, something to do with hell, demons, and all that sort of stuff. You could go and talk to like a witch, for example, and depending on how you make the conversation go, you could either have that witch become your ally and like she helps you out more, or you could really piss this witch off and like maybe she gives you something that doesn't work later on because she's just trying to fuck you around or something, like
Yeah.
depending like how you make content go, depending on who works with you, who doesn't, and things like that. And so when you said Ghost Rider, I was like, oh my god, answers both align. That is nuts.
That's really good. I feel like as well, it could very much add to like with John Constantine, could very much add to like how difficult do you want to make his life? Because also,
Yeah.
you make like a poor decision with like the witch, for example. He makes like a snarky remark like, "Why do I make things more difficult for myself than they need to be?"
And like I see it like you could maybe have like the option of, hey, do this spell and this will happen, but you don't know the consequences. But at the same time, you could do this other spell, but you still don't know the consequences, and you have to pick what spells to use at certain points, and things like this. I think, Constantine and Ghost Rider are both great picks. I think they would work great.
I feel like with John Constantine as well, like on the on the topic of like the spells, you going to talk to a certain demon. It's like you briefly summon them, you're like, oh, I need to talk to this guy because he's got the information for this person who I'm tracking. I'm not exactly on good terms with him, or I could talk to this one who's got the information for this other guy, but I owe him a lot of like money or whatever, or if I do this, it's gonna um what's the word? Like the contract for my soul will go up or something along those lines. So either way, it's a bad decision talking to one of them, but you're picking like between the lesser of two evils.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would work pretty well. And like with Ghost Rider and Constantine, there are other characters you could involve that people would know as well.
Yeah.
Maybe Johnny has a conversation with Mephisto, and like depending on how you talk to him, depending on certain events change. And with Johnny, maybe he could talk to Etrigan or Zatanna or something. Some of the other Justice League Dark members.
Yeah, but you talk to Deadman, for example, as well.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
Ghost Rider, you could have like all the other Ghost Riders as well. Even if you
Robbie
did like
Reyes.
one season, yeah, one season you could do Johnny Blaze, then second season it's exclusively Danny Catch. Season 3 is Robbie Reyes. Something along those sort of lines where you're going through a whole bunch of different Ghost Riders, or they're involved in some way, shape, or form. So the decisions you make as Johnny Blaze directly affect Danny Catch, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I like that. Do you have a preferred Ghost Rider you'd want to see in the MCU?
I know Robbie Reyes is kind of already in the MCU because he was played by Gabriel Luna in Agents of Shield.
Yeah,
But
which
he's
I
one
I,
note
I think
of
I
the
think they did.
character.
I think Robbie Reyes is really good in Agents of Shield.
I'd probably, because he's technically already in it, but also isn't. I'm gonna say Zero Cochrane, which is Ghost Rider 2099.
Oh, that's very cool. No, yeah, I love the 29 universe. I think that universe is great.
I remember when I first discovered Ghost Rider 2099, reading like the blurb of like what the Anubis or the Omnibus was. I'm like, this is the most 90s thing ever, and it is my birthright to play that character because we share the same last name. So
But
yeah, that was so good. Me finding that character for the first time.
yeah, I feel like. Do you think we'd ever get like a live action 2099 universe of any kind?
I think we'd probably get like just Spider-Man 2099, like Miguel O'Hara. As for what villain would be like the main guy of that, I don't really. Mm, who would be the main? I don't know. I can't think of who would be the main villain of it because Miguel O'Hara really just has like the same villains as Peter Parker or like the modern day Spider-Man, but they're just like futuristic versions of them.
Yeah.
So
I
you'd have to really like think of like, okay, who have already done, but who's also slightly like different enough.
I think one character they've already done but is different enough would be Doc Ock, because it's a woman this
Yeah,
time, and
yeah, because I remember they did her in the first Spider-Man,
yeah.
the first Spider-Verse film. That's exactly who I was
And
thinking
like
of.
if we did ever get a live action one, I feel like she'd be different enough from the Doc Ocks we've seen already, and of course the Doc Ock from the live action movies anyway. But they could
Mm.
definitely play her a bit more cynical, a bit more conniving, and a bit more sassy.
Yeah, I feel like they could either do that or Hobgoblin 2099, but do it in the same way they did like Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, where he looks more of like more demon, if that makes sense, because he's still got like
Yeah,
the Hobgoblin color palette, but where he's got like the wings of the like demon dragon wings, whatever, that still in like an exoskeleton suit, whatever. So it's
bro.
still like on the lines of like goblin type character, recognizable but different enough, both in
Yeah,
terms of character and design wise as well.
you mention Spider-Man Chat Dimensions. That's one of my favorite Spider-Man games of all time. And the other day, funny enough, it was payday for us, and my fiance is incredibly supportive in everything I do. And she turns to me and she's like, "Hey, you haven't bought any games in a while. Get to record and things." I'm like, "Yeah, but they're all expensive, because they're not licensed anymore and stuff." And she's like, "It's okay, just
Yeah.
get a couple of them." I bought Spider-Man Chat Dimensions again. It's now a part of my collection.
Good on you.
So the fact that you mentioned that, I'm like, hey, that's actually quite funny. You mentioned this.
Yeah, I just played that the other day. So you know exactly what I'm talking about with the Hobgoblin
I
design, because I wasn't sure if you were.
I adore Shattered Dimensions. I don't care. It's free, not free roam. I don't give a fuck. Superhero games do not need to be free roam all the time, and
No, they don't.
I love the fact that we get 4 different Spider-Men, 3 levels for each, and also we get different villains. Like, so, for example, uh, Sandman's a villain, but you don't fight Sandman as every Spider-Man. He's only a villain for one of them. There's no
Yeah, exactly.
crossover for the villains. And, like, you also get to explore, other than Ultimate Spider-Man, which is, understandable because that is just another Peter Parker, which is very similar to the Amazing one. But with Noir and 2099, you really get to explore the differences in villains. Like Vulture from Noir. That's one of my favorite
Yes.
versions of Vulture. He's a cannibal, and he's the guy who ate Uncle Ben, and it's just
Yeah, I
like
know.
he's a villain. Oh my god, yes! And he was, as a kid, he scared me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Playing that level as a kid, I was actually terrified of the way they did the Vulture, because he is freaky as fuck.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I wonder if they'll probably include him in the new Nicolas Cage Spider-Man Noir TV show as
Oh,
well.
yeah,
Because with
that's
that
that's a,
coming out as well, that
that's a
does
good
open up the possibility of other live action adaptations of Spider-Man as well.
that's a good topic change, actually. What's your thoughts on the fact we're getting a Spider-Man Noir TV show?
I feel like that's the best one they could do as like a introduction into it, because like Spider-Man Noir, I love the aesthetic of that period. He's one of my favorite all-time Spider people, um, and I'm really glad they're going down the route of like doing it in black and white as well, because that was one thing I was really nervous about when like promotional pictures for the show were being released. Um, I wasn't sure if they were going to do it in full color or black and white, or like where they did with like Werewolf by Night, where they did one in full color and then one in black and white. So I wasn't sure where they were going to do it, but I'm really glad they're kind of strictly doing it in black and white, because that adds so much to the whole noir aesthetic as well.
Yeah, I was worried about that too, because Spider-Man Chat Dimensions, all the levels are in black and white. In Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, the Noir universe is in black and white, and all the like civilian Lego characters shift as well and things. So when they announced that, I was like, please be in black and white. Please, like, I know it sounds really like dorky, but like that's the whole point of noir.
Exactly.
So, what's your thoughts on Nicolas Cage playing him?
He wouldn't be my first pick. However, he did amazingly as Spider-Man Noir in the first Spider-Verse film. So at the
Yep.
same time, he's also a great Spider-Man Noir. So
Yeah.
it definitely makes sense. I think that's the best way of putting it. It makes sense to cast him as Spider-Man Noir. I just want to see how um how far into his career this Spider-Man Noir is.
Yeah.
That's my question, because how old Nicolas Cage is.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm very curious about that as well. I mean, I'd be happy if they wanted to give us like a flashback, maybe, of how he became Spider-Man.
Mm,
Just only because, like, I don't want it to be a straight origin story, but I don't mind a flashback, and I say that because yes, okay, we've now got multiverses have now been a huge thing in media now for a good, handful of years, and things, but not everyone's gonna know who Spider-Man Noir is. Not everyone's
exactly.
gonna.
Yeah.
Us comic book fans, we know who Spider-Man Noir is. Let's be honest. But
Yeah.
not
Exactly.
not everyone's a Spider like a comic book reader of any kind, and
Mm,
I want to give the new people, the people that are going in this as just maybe they're Spider-Man movie fans, or maybe they saw Spider-Man, like you said, he's in Spider-Verse. Maybe they saw him in that and thought, hey, maybe it'd be cool. I want at least people to know who he is. So, like, if they're gonna make him already Spider-Man the one, he's already, a Spider-Man, at least just give us a flashback is fine. Just give us a scene where you learn why or how he's Spider-Man, because it is slightly different to, 616 Spider-Man. So,
yeah, or they could do like what they did with the first Spider-Verse film, where they gave like when Noir came into the scene, they gave he had like a little monologue of like
mm,
what his Earth is like. They could do something like that,
yeah.
or even like in the intro, like the whole intro is like it's like newspapers or newspaper clippings of like the Great Depression, and then it moves into like pictures of Peter Parker and May and Ben in Hooverville, and then like Peter being bitten, and it's all in like Polaroid shots or whatever. So that goes through his origin story, and then comes to like a newspaper clipping of like the Vulture um, being spotted, and then another murder, and then it being revealed it's Ben, and then it all culminates in like a big uh, like a whole wall made up of newspaper clippings and Polaroid pictures, all like thumbtacked to the wall with strings and whatnot. And then we see, like Spider-Man putting on, or Nicolas Cage putting on like his hat and his mask, and he turns around, and then he like walks into the camera, and then that cuts into the title drop or something like that. So it gives the full story the second you watch it, and you understand who this Spider-Man is, what he's after, and who he's looking for.
Yeah, I actually had this pretty much a similar idea with me and my friend, because we're both looking forward to it. And one thing we came up with, what we could do is have the very first scene in color, and have like someone walk into like a newspaper room or something. And
Mm,
they're going through old newspapers which show off Spider-Man Noir, and like it explains things, and that's how
mm.
you, like you said, getting the information. And then the last newspaper they put down, it zooms into the picture, everything turns black and white, and then the picture is the first scene that you see. So like maybe it's Spider-Man Noir on a car, or he's on a building or something, and it zooms that and
Yeah.
black and white. Um, do you think we're gonna have any big major Spider-Man Noir villains in this, or do you think they'll go with like, I don't know, a crime boss or something like a bit more linear?
I mean, you could very easily go with Hammerhead as like the main mob
Yeah.
boss. It could easily be like a gang war between Kingpin and Hammerhead, and then maybe Norman Osborn. Again, like on the lines of like the Shattered Dimensions Spider-Man sort of thing like that. Um, but I feel like Kingpin and Hammerhead being like the two mob bosses of the time would be. I feel like that would be more than enough, really, because that makes the most sense in my opinion. The same with if
Yeah.
you were going to do like Gotham by Gaslight, you did Penguin and Roman Sionis as like the two main bad guys or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes perfect sense in my head. I think that would work pretty well. Um, if you could, like, if if we had the ability to kind of like expand, and they said, "Hey, look, it's getting a season 2," is there any characters from the Noir universe you'd want to have, like, a cameo or like a little like nod to that isn't Spider-Man, like so it's not like a villain or anything, but like maybe a character that you'd want to see?
Oh, because I know there's there's the X-Men Noir, isn't it, or something like that? Because I know there's Iron Man Noir, and I think it's X-Men Noir or something
Um,
along those lines.
I know some of the characters are in it. Like I know Bob Drake is in Noir, but I don't think he's
Yeah,
actually Iceman. I know Kane Marco's in Noir, but I don't think he's Juggernaut. So yeah, you are right. They have brought like characters, but I don't think they're their superhero esque.
yeah, the superhero counterparts. Because I kept no, I'm thinking of the wrong guy. Because I kept thinking there was a vivid image I had in my head of like someone who would like wear a demon mask, who I thought was initially thought was Kirk, but I think I'm thinking of Carnage Noir. Can't remember. It's something along those lines where I remember I've got such a vivid memory in my head of someone wearing like a demon like mask or like some form of scary mask that resembles that of a demon. But I can't remember if that is Nightcrawler or if that's Carnage I'm thinking of. It's one or the other.
So I just googled it, and yeah, no, there is X-Men Noir. It's just they're obviously all done differently.
Ah, that's
And they're basically Professor Xavier's like methods of teaching and stuff kind of gets made public, so they all have to go like undercover, like hidden away and things. And
yeah.
they've got to stop Eric and the Brotherhood. So there is actually X-Men Noir. Just they're like Beast isn't blue and fiery. He's more like the original. Got like
Yeah, where he's just like
big
big,
feet and
essentially. Big and yeah.
yeah, big and chunky. One I wouldn't mind seeing, and I don't mind if they don't use the same actor, that's fine. But we do actually have Punisher in Noir, which is Frank Castiglione or something like that.
Mm.
He's an Italian American who served in World War I, and he actually has the skull is actually a tattoo on his chest, not just
Oh.
something he wears. I wouldn't mind seeing just like a nod to him or something. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool, yeah. Because you still have that, like, Spider-Man, Punisher dynamic that you've got.
Yeah, because his main villain in that comic book is Jigsaw. So again, that kind of
Uh,
works. So that'd be kind of cool, like because we've got Daredevil in the new Spider-Man movie coming out. So it'd be kind of cool, like a nice little on, hey, this is an alternate universe type thing.
yeah, exactly. That'd be kind of cool.
What's your thoughts on the fact that we have Punisher from the hard hitting, like morbid, gruesome fighting Daredevil show, but it's being translated to Spider-Man, which obviously isn't gonna be that violent.
Hmm. It depends on how well they translate it. Because I feel
Yeah,
like it can be done well of like Frank is about to just, be Frank, but Peter like stops him. Like Frank's got like a gun to someone's head, or he's just gonna kick the snot out of someone, and then Peter like stops him. Like if he's gonna start, like punching someone up very violently, and then Peter like fully pulls him back and stops him from not going too far, but you know what I mean. He still like roughs him up, and then like an altercation comes from between them. So you still get like a little bit of Frank, but it's Peter stepping in and being himself.
yeah.
I think is the best way of putting it.
See, in my head, knowing the way that the MCU have done their like characters and most recent projects and stuff, in my head it goes something along the lines of like the first half of the film, like Peter stops Frank from doing something like you said, but then
Hmm.
later down the line when like the villain's now done something Peter feels like he doesn't do, obviously no one remembers who he is, so it's not like he can ask
Yeah,
Sam for help or anything. I feel like it'd be more of a thing like he goes to Frank and goes, hey, the couple of days ago I punched you in the face for almost killing the guy, yeah, I need your help. Type
I
thing.
could very easily see like Frank pushing Peter past his limit to the point where he does like he punches Frank and does break his jaw, almost like reminiscent of like when Doc Ock took over Peter's
Yeah.
body and then punched Scorpion's jaw clean off. So I could very easily see like him doing that, not only as like a little reference and nod to the comics, but just to remind everyone of like how much Peter Parker actually has to hold back.
That was one of the biggest arguments I made, because like you, I used to have another account, and then I've had to make a new one. And one of my first videos on this new account was I stitched someone because they were talking about like, oh, Spider-Man can't beat Batman for this reason, and this reason. So I stitched him. I was like, look, I'm not gonna hate on your opinion, but there's a few things you got wrong there. And
Yeah.
I mentioned the fact that as when Doc Ock took over Peter's body, he punched Scorpion so hard his jaw came off, and then Doc Ock kind of had this realization that this kid's been going easy on them this entire time. Like, he could have
Exactly,
easily
yeah.
killed every villain that he's ever had, but he decided not to. And then the time where obviously Kingpin, it decided to be Kingpin, and Peter literally had Kingpin bloody and held him by his titties.
Oh yeah, where he was slapping him about after
Yeah.
ordering the hit on Aunt May. Yeah, I remember that.
So like, he's a strong character. Like he does hold back a lot, and I kind of had to remind the person of that, because I still believe Spider-Man can beat Batman. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, I could very easily see like going on to like the brand new day Spider-Man film. I could very easily see it being like Peter does punch Frank across the face, and like maybe fractures his jaw, does like some form of like not serious injury, but like somewhat major, and then an episode. Oh, sorry, not an episode. So like half an hour later, Frank witnesses Peter like him like kicking down a brick wall or something like that, or like exerting extreme amounts of super strength, and then Frank has that realization of like, oh shit, like he does actually, he could have killed him in that altercation that they had earlier, or something along those lines.
I mean, hell, what would be really cool is make it comic book-esque. Have it so, like, Peter, like, I don't know, is really angry, he's annoyed, he almost just beat Punisher to pulp, so he punches a building really hard, which, like, fractures the building, which then causes an explosion or something, and now he's like, oh, crap, and now he has to jump in and, like, start saving people and stuff, and then he feels like he's beating himself up, because if it wasn't for him getting angry and punching the wall, this wouldn't have caused a domino effect, and he wouldn't have to save these people. He's the reason why they, bring, and obviously, again, bring back the idea that no one remembers who he is. He doesn't have Aunt May anymore, he doesn't have Tony anymore, and the rest of the world don't know him, so he's really alone. So, like, he fucked up, and who can he talk to? No one.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah,
I do think that Peter will... Frank will talk to Peter at some point. Like, they will talk to one another without, like, Spider-Man without his mask. I definitely think we'll get a scene like that.
Yeah.
Almost kind of reminiscent, not maybe kind of reminiscent of, like, the scene between Punisher and Daredevil when they first meet, when they're going back and forth on the rooftop. I could see that. I could definitely see that happening. Maybe not in the same sense, because I feel like a lot of people would complain of like, "Oh, we've really done this scene. Why are we doing it again?" But I feel like that would go a long way as well, especially where like Peter is still kind of has the same morals as Daredevil in a sense of like, yeah, he will try and save absolutely everybody, but at the same time, he does have a limit and will kill you if pushed too far, or will at least show you how easily he could kill you, like as you said, where he did with Kingpin, where he just slaps him and then threatens to drown him in web fluid.
The one thing as well they could do, just to flipping your idea on its head, is you could have some character growth with Punisher here as well, because Punisher, again, Punisher and Spidey could be like going back and forth and stuff, and Spider-Man's like, hey, I'm the only person who can do this, I've got to wear this suit, I've got to be a hero, and Punisher could say, not the exact same words, but he could say some of the lines of, yeah, well, if you're nothing without that suit, you shouldn't be wearing it in the first place, which is what Tony says to him in Homecoming, kind of like throwing that, like, and then that could be maybe a realization for Peter that, yes, okay, Punisher kills people, but that's because of who he is, what he's gone through, they're, okay, yeah, sure, Punisher kills people, but he's an anti-hero, he does have a good reason for it. It's not the best moral outcome, sure, but like you could have this like understanding between the two of them because of it. I'm
Yeah, I can.
I'm
I can
nervous for
definitely.
the new Spider-Man because like I don't know who do you want the villain to be, because we still don't know who the do you want do you have an idea of who you'd want the next Spider-Man villain to be?
I don't know because I keep trying to think of like who is both like compelling towards the Punisher and Spider-Man at the same time. Because the only one who I can really think of is maybe Kingpin. At Kingpin and maybe Chameleon because of like that one Spider-Man animated TV show episode where the Punisher was going after Chameleon and like Spider-Man was getting in the way and all that. So I could very easily see that maybe potentially Chameleon, but who's also like a greater threat at the same time.
Yeah,
Those
see,
are the
that's
only two characters I can think of. Because who's like who's compelling to both characters? Who has sort of like not relations with both characters, but you know what I mean? Of like, yeah, you get what I mean.
the only like downside is the guy who plays Kingpin in Daredevil has stated that his contract's for TV shows only, which means we will never see Kingpin in a movie. Which
Um,
that's why he was in Hawkeye, because once he announced that his contract's for TV shows only, everyone kind of put the pieces together, because obviously Kingpin isn't just a Daredevil villain; he was Spider-Man's villains first. But
yep,
he is Kingpin. He's very easily translatable to other street level heroes and things. And then as soon as the actor said that, everyone was like, that's why he's in Hawkeye, that's why he's an Echo, because Marvel want to do things with him but they can't in the movie.
yeah, that he's the kingpin of New York City. You know, he's
Yeah.
as you said, he's a threat to every sort of street tier character. All the Spider-Man, Punisher, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. You know, all the Defenders, Hawkeye, all things like
So
that.
I agree with the comedian. I think comedian would work really well. Another one I could see possibly working is Craven, because you could have it so, Spider-Man's a hero, it's been a little while now since the spell, so no one remembers him. And Craven's like, okay, I want to hunt down the Spider-Man. He's now like, top dog, he's,
Yeah, he's the most dangerous
apex.
game.
Yeah, so like, let's hunt him. And that's when you could play it on the lot, because MJ and Ned are both returning, so you could have it so maybe Craven finds out who MJ and Ned are via maybe he's spying on Spider-Man and Spider-Man watches them from afar or something, and that's when
Yeah,
Craven's like, okay, I'll kidnap those two then, and these two have no idea what they do. Why Craven's kidnapped them? Why is Spider-Man here all of a sudden? And things you could play it off like.
yeah.
I don't want another Electro or another Lizard Man or Lizard, sorry, or another Sat, because we've seen them through No Way Home, so I don't want them to really redo villains from that, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be sort of like it can't be like a monstrous character. It has to be like a humanoid type character who's also like street level.
Yeah,
Is
so
the best way of putting it.
someone who's a person but can do something, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because apparently it's rumored that Black Cat's going to be in it, so that would be quite interesting to see if she makes an appearance, because we haven't had Black Cat in a movie properly yet, so.
I'm trying to think as well, like who's compelling to her as well. Because it's difficult to think of like who's compelling to all of these different characters at the same time, other than just Kingpin. Because
Yeah.
he's the main one who's like, as I said, is the Kingpin of New York and is a threat to all street tier characters. So I think Chameleon is probably the best option, I'd say.
So here's something I wanted to run past. This is when you agreed to come on the podcast. I automatically knew some questions I wanted to ask. This was definitely one of them. What's your thoughts on Robert Downey Jr. coming to Doom?
Oh, so funny story about that. I made a video, I think it was on my old account actually, of how I would bring Doctor Doom into the MCU. And I said, make him a victim of Sokovia. So he was living like with his family outside of Sokovia's like border. And he witnesses the Avengers, he witnesses Iron Man, and Iron Man, like after the events of Sokovia, comes up with like, no, we're going to bring all the refugees, the people who survived Sokovia, to New York. We're going to take care of them and what have you. And they go into like a American Housing Association thing, and we slowly watch like from a citizen's perspective the shit they had to go through post Sokovia, and obviously the events of Civil War and Infinity War, and that 5 year gap in between. And you kind of like you make Doom the hero of his own story, so he goes back to Sokovia, or what remains of Sokovia, the people who still kind of not live in the ruins, but live in sort of like the general area of it, who didn't have the privilege of leaving or didn't have the opportunity to leave because they didn't have money or funds or anything like that. So you kind of like you make him like the Iron Man of Sokovia in a sense of like you make him the hero, and he returns Sokovia to like its old name of Latveria. And then like a week later they released that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Iron Man. So that was not something that I expected. But it's gonna be difficult, I think, to not see Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, because he has firmly cemented himself as Iron Man within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sorry, so it's going to be difficult to see him as Victor Von Doom as well.
See,
I don't know.
personally, I don't like it. I love him as Iron Man, and it's not even that. It's not the fact that he's Iron Man. It's the fact that he had a send off. His like character had a send off, and
Yeah,
like the issue is you've got Robert Downey Jr. who said same task but different mask, and then you've got
yeah,
the Russo brothers stating this isn't Tony Stark, this is Victor Von Doom. But then in the comic books we have what if Tony Stark became Doctor Doom, and we're playing around
yes,
with the
you do.
multiverse. We have the multiverse. You could have easily just made it so Doctor Doom's universe is a universe where the Avengers were never made, or maybe Ultron won, or maybe the snap never got fixed, or whatever the case may be. You know, there's so many different points that you can change. And it's a case of this is Tony Stark, but he is Doctor
Hmm.
Doom. You know, have it.
I mean, wasn't his task to make like a suit of armor like around the world or something like whatever he
yeah,
said
it,
in
yeah, it,
Age of Ultron? Yeah.
yeah.
So that
He
could
won
be like, yeah. So it could be that could be his task, and that's how he makes like his Doom armor essentially.
because even in the beginning of Endgame, when like he's just got saved and he's like all like skinny and stuff because he hasn't eaten properly and he's been in space and stuff. He even like
Yes.
shoves it in Steve's face. He's like, "I wanted a suit of armor around the world, and this is why," and
Mm.
stuff. And something that my friend James pointed out, which he has a point, is Doctor Doom doesn't ever take off his mask 90% of the time. Sometimes he does,
Yeah.
but it's Robert Downey Jr. and you're not gonna have Doctor Doom being played by the guy who made more money in the 16 minutes he's in No Way in Homecoming, because literally he made billions just off Homecoming alone. You're not
Mm.
gonna have Doctor Doom being played by Robert Downey Jr. without showing his face, and if you do show his face, then shouldn't everyone recognize him as Tony Stark?
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Considering you got all the people from the sacred timeline, apparently, whether it be going to Battle World, whether it be going to this version of Doom's dimension or whatever. And 90% of the time, when Doom has his mask off as well, his face is horrifically scarred. The only time I think where he wasn't when Victor Von Doom became Iron Man post Secret Wars 2015 Secret Wars.
Yeah,
So I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know how I feel about it. The more I think about it, the more I think I dislike it.
and it's just like Peter Parker. How is he like? How are you gonna have Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom and Spider-Man in the same room and not have an
Mm.
emotional scene? And I'm just there like, I don't get it. And the funny thing is, and I know that when an actor does something stupid and they get removed from a project, it can be a very sour subject and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know Kang's actor got fired, which is funny because Marvel's actually said that they're willing to talk to him again. The funny thing is, they could have just kept Kang, because Kang is got multiversal variants. We've seen that. I can't remember if it's Ant-Man or if it's Loki. I can't remember which project it is, but there's an end credit scene somewhere where you have the Council of Kangs. There's a whole bunch of them, and
Yeah, that was Ant-Man Quantumanium.
yeah, thank you. So I've said this on TikTok and stuff before. What you could have done is, instead of, giving us Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom, give us a scene, an end credit scene somewhere. Maybe it's the end of Fantastic Four, maybe it's the end of Thunderbolts, somewhere. Give us an end credit scene where we see the Council of Kangs, but they're all dead. They're all dead. Because, I'm sorry, the things they've done with CGI in the past is bananas, right? And then you have the new actor, who is Kang, stood there as Kang, and he's there, and he's all dominating, he looks menacing and stuff, and the only line he says is, "I am the one true Kang."
That would be cool. That would be so cool.
And then you've
That
still
ties up
got...
all loose ends as well.
You've still got Kang, he's still the main villain, and then you just changed the actor. And I'm sorry, but Iron Man 1's roadie is not Iron Man 2's roadie. They change actors there. We've got different Bruces. It's not hard, and I'm just confused on why they went in a completely different direction, because... And I think that's my biggest issue with the Multiverse Saga, is they've tried to do new stories of brand new characters. They've tried to kind of do like sequels for movies. They've tried to bring answers to certain end credits, like Adam Warlock, for example, and things, whilst also doing the Multiverse Saga. And I'm like, okay, you do realize the Multiverse has like 5 projects, if that. The Infinity Stones were everywhere in the Infinity Saga. They were everywhere. I mean, they even tied it to Captain Marvel, for fuck's sake, and shit like this. And it's just painful. And I'm one thing I'm glad about is it got pushed, because it was meant to come out in May next year, but it got delayed to December. And I'm glad that happened, which means they have more time.
Yeah, and I feel like when they delay things as well, the thing about me is I would rather project be delayed 8 times than it be released and it's unfinished.
Yeah, 110%. No, I completely agree with you. Because, you don't want, using video game logic here, you don't want a half-ass project where they have to either update it or come up with a lazy excuse on why it's not done.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why, like, one of the many reasons I refuse to watch the Flash film. I will watch every other superhero project bar the Flash film.
I've never watched the Flashpoint movie.
The Ezra Miller Flash film with Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah, that's Flashpoint. That's
Oh, was that the one you're talking about? Oh, sorry. I thought we were talking about the animated Flashpoint one. Sorry.
That the animated one. The only gripe I have with that is it's too short. It doesn't explore.
Yeah, that is a very short film.
Like, that's the animated one. That's why I like the Suicide Squad animated movie they did, because it actually continued Reverse Flash's storyline from Flashpoint, which I absolutely love that. But no, the animated one, it's just too short. It doesn't explore that much of Flashpoint. Like, you do get to see some factions, Red Hood's little group. You see Aquaman and his kingdom fight the Amazonians. Green Lantern Corps get like a couple seconds of screen time, but like you don't get to explore that much, which is a shame. But no, the live action Flash movie, I've never watched. I've watched people talk about it. I've seen the pitch meeting YouTube video on it, and it's just like the most diabolical thing ever, and I'm confused. And that's what I mean by, like, that's the first Flash movie.
I would have rather they gave us the shelved Batgirl film than the Flash film, based on all cause, the main reason why I refuse to watch it is obviously because of all the shit that Ezra Miller did before we even had any form of like trailers or teaser trailers or anything like that. So they had plenty of time to reassess like the situation and go, okay, yeah, maybe it's not a good idea if we have the main person, like the main actor in our film, we're not showing him based on all the fucked up shit that he has literally just done about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it just kind of shows like the double standard, especially with like Jonathan Majors as well, because as soon as the allegations came out about him, he was immediately gone. But with Ezra Miller, it was obviously a case of like, yeah, this is all factual proof that he has done, but we're still going to release the film.
Yeah, and like they made really bad choices as well. Like
Yeah.
they replaced Superman with Supergirl, and I'm like, huh? How does that make any fucking sense?
Mm.
You know, Reverse Flash isn't even in it. They do this whole thing with Barry Allen, who doesn't have his powers, gets his powers, tries to fix things so many times it turns him insane. And I'm like, okay, I get you're a comic book movie, but no.
Yeah, and then they had all like the really poor CGI, and then replicating like Henry Cavill's looking CGI and Christopher Reeves as well without
Yeah.
consoling his family, which was really messed up in my opinion.
Yep, no, that was fucked up. That was bad. They shouldn't have done that at all. And then they
It was
end
just
it as
poor decision
well.
making.
They end it as well on a joke because it's
It's George Clooney as Bruce Wayne, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. So they end it like that, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, oh my god, it was just like painful. Like, as soon as, and don't get me wrong, I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I love that movie. I think it's fucking phenomenal. Such a good Batman film. But the fact that when they showed off, oh, by the way, Michael Keaton's returning as Batman for the Flashpoint movie, and I'm like, you're not doing Thomas Wayne?
Yeah.
Huh? Like, the whole point of Flashpoint is it's a ripple effect, and the Flashpoint Batman is one of my favorite, like, alternative Batmans, is because it's not Bruce Wayne, it's Thomas Wayne, and the Joker is actually Martha.
Is Martha Wayne. Yeah.
And like she kidnaps she kidnaps boys, or like something.
I remember she kidnaps Jim Gordon's 2 children.
That's
and then,
it.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to be someone's mother, and she's royally fucked up, and it's just like, why did you decide to bring back Michael Keaton as Batman? It's like, no.
I feel like it would have worked if they brought back Michael Keaton as Thomas Wayne, and then in this universe, or in this, the Snyderverse, he is, canonically Ben Affleck's father. He was Thomas Wayne. So I could very easily see them doing that, and at the same time, like Thomas Wayne as Batman, I feel like is very compelling as well. When especially in like the animated Flash movie as well,
Yeah.
where even in that little instance where Barry, he opens up his ring and then he's got Eobard Thorne's suit, and that whole little monologue of like, he hates you so much so that he will destroy everything just to kill you, but his psychosis requires that he knows you are responsible, and then looks at like the was it like the chalkboard or something like that with all like the cards on it as he's drinking, and that little sigh of like, you'd be amazed the monsters this world can create. Like, that is, I feel like it's one of the best character deconstructions of Reverse Flash, coming from someone who has no idea who Reverse Flash is.
Yep, no, I completely agree. And I just love. I'm a big sucker for like the multiverse and what if and like all this stuff. I like it when we get those sort of things, and having it so when they did Flashpoint, like from the comic books and stuff, and they had a choice of, okay, what can we do to Bruce? How do we change Bruce? And someone very cleverly just sat there and went, we kill him.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is just fucking phenomenal in every way, and they've
every
ruined
Batman origin story is always it's Martha and Thomas that Wayne that dies in the alley that night. So just reverse it. Bruce is the one who dies that night in the alley. And it's a stroke of genius there.
And he's also more like Red Hood than Batman, because obviously he uses guns, he'll kill people, he's very brutal, he fights very brutal, so he's more like Red Hood, which is in Batman's eyes one of his greatest failures, is the fact that he allowed Jason to die
Jason
and
to die,
to become
yeah.
Red Hood. So like, yeah, that I don't know. It's all that movie just shouldn't not have existed.
No, as I said, I would have preferred to have the shell back of him, regardless of how bad that film apparently was. I would have preferred to have that.
What would you say is like, I don't know, top 3 or top 5? It depends on how many you can name. What would you say is like the biggest insult to comic book fans when it comes to like movies and TV shows?
Oh, I'm going to get controversial here. I'm going to say the early 2000s X-Men films for one, because they're not X-Men films. They are Logan, Wolverine and the X-Men. That's what those films are. The black leather, obviously, where all the women in those films do not have a personality whatsoever. Like Jean Grey boils
Is
down to
a
I'm
plank
gaining
of
smart,
wood.
but also eyeballing Logan. That is all her personality is. Um, I do like some aspects of it. Like I feel like Nightcrawler was easily deep, but Nightcrawler, Wolverine, um, Charles, and Eric Magneto were the 4 best characters in all of those films put together.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like that's my biggest hot take. Like I do love those films, and I take them for what they are: is early cheesy 2000s action movies featuring the X-Men. But they are not good X-Men films as a whole because the X-Men are a team. They're a bunch of misfits put together who are not forced to work together, but who live together, who fight together, who stand against racism and bigotry. And then now it has evolved to a point where it's them fighting for anyone who has ever been oppressed, whether it be because of your skin, because of your sex, because of your race, your religion, your sexuality, or just anything that is classified as quote unquote woke or anything, fighting against oppression and all things like that. So they're not good X-Men films based on that like president and what the X-Men actually are and what they stand for as a whole.
Yeah, no, I understand your point. I love Wolverine. I mean, my son's literally named after him. He's called Logan, and that's literally because of Wolverine. And a lot of people find that cool. Because I get to name a kid after a comic book character.
Yeah,
But like fucking, you're right. It is literally Wolverine and +1. And the annoying
yeah,
thing is we've got in said universe, we had 3 X-Men. We had the X-Men trilogy. Then Wolverine gets his own trilogy, and then he's also in Days of Future Past. So he gets like
yeah,
7 installments, and there are other X-Men characters that are really cool. I love Cyclops. I love Iceman.
yeah.
Nightcrawler is one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. I love Night, and
He is just a wee bean, and we love him.
it pisses me off that the only time we ever see him with his swords is in X-Men 97, and I'm really glad that he got a scene with his swords.
Yes,
But like, yeah, it is very Wolverine centric. I will agree.
yeah. Which I feel like my love for Wolverine mainly comes from those early 2000s films as well. Like X-Men 2 is a great film in and of itself, but like at the same time, it's not. As I said, it's not an X-Men movie. It's a Wolverine. It's a Wolverine movie at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I will always love those films because they're very nostalgic to me, especially X-Men 2, as that was one of my favorite films growing up. But yeah, they're not good X-Men. They're not good X-Men films. So I'm very glad when X-Men 97 got announced and that was released because I damn near cried when in episode 5, I think it was, with like the attack on Genosha and
Oh yeah.
Gambit. And I was like, oh my god, you bastards! Why would you do this to me?
Like X-Men 97. I was so pleased when that got announced. I was like, okay, I'll click here for a second.
We're back.
Because honestly, I actually really enjoy animations when it comes to Marvel and DC. The DC
Mm,
animated movie roster, sure, some of them are hit and miss, but there are so many good movies that are animated from DC. Justice League Dark and Apocalypse. Actually, Justice League War is really good. Spider-Man Into and Across the Spider-Verse are some of the best Spider-Man films we've had. Just Spider-Man storylines we've had in such a long time.
Under the Red Hood, one of the best animated adaptations ever.
And then when we get to 97, I think the only thing I was scared of is like what they were gonna do with it, because apparently it's a sequel, and I was like, okay, like how are you gonna make this work? And they did such a good job on the characters. It wasn't Wolverine centric. Storm has a story arc. Jubilee has a story arc. Gambit dies. Nightcrawler gets some badass fucking scenes in it. Morph gets like so many cool little scenes. And the whole art, like the whole thing with Charles and Magneto, and like them going into like the whole thing of trying to help each other out and stuff was really good. I mean, Magneto's just a beast in that. Let's be honest. They had cameos, but they were nothing but cameos, and they teased season 2 in a really good way. And I'm actually
the speeches as well in that series as well were just phenomenal. Like when Storm loses her powers, and then Magneto takes like the what was it, like the UN Council or something like that up into the sky and starts like this whole speech. That was incredible. I'm trying to think of like other. Oh, and I forget her name. I can't remember the woman's name. Like the blonde one with the glasses who like was working with Bastion and then freed Magneto, and she was talking about Genosha, and then like that her ending it with Magneto was right, and then him setting off that EMP. That is probably one of the best speeches in fiction, I would think.
Yeah,
it's
no,
so
I agree.
good. So good.
It's like even Gambit's speech at the end just before he dies, that just made it more like impactful.
The name's Gambit, mon ami. Remember it.
Yeah, it's just like damn. Yeah, like it was really good.
So good. Can't wait for season 2.
When it comes to like a comic book media that I find insulting, I mean, Fan Four Stick kind of comes to mind. That was painful. That was utterly painful.
I've seen people say that they would love to. I can't remember the guy's name who played Reed, but I've seen people say they would love to see him play the Maker in the live action adaptation.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? I've actually said this before. If we're gonna do the multiverse, and we're gonna kind of, we've got Secret Wars and we've got Doomsday coming up, I wouldn't mind a council of Reeds, because we have the original from the 2000s, we have Fan Four Stick, we have the guy who turns up in Doctor Strange, and then we've got obviously the main MCU fan, Pedro Pascal. So we got 4 different versions. You could bring all 4 of them back as the Council of Reeds. And honestly, if they did make him the Maker, I wouldn't be too thrown off, because just because you're an actor in a bad superhero movie doesn't mean you get redemption. And like, look at fucking Michael B. Jordan. He was he was Human Torch, but then he came back as Killmonger, and Killmonger is such a good character of the MCU.
It was just badass through and through.
Honestly, my favorite scene with Killmonger isn't even in Black Panther. It's in Black Panther 2.
Oh.
That's my favorite scene of Killmonger's, because he argues with Shuri, and it's just like the way. To be fair, I gotta give something to Marvel here. They are really good with their trailer. They're really good at giving us enough, but not spoiling everything via the trailers. We didn't know Killmonger would be in it, and when Shuri does take the herb and she's like, "Oh, I'll see my mom, or I'll see my dad," she sees Killmonger. Oh my god, gut punch! I was like, that is so fucking cool.
That's so good.
And he just sits there and he's like, "We're the same. Like, what the like? Stop chatting." And it's just such a good scene. But yeah, he's really good. And like, I'd be okay if the guy from Fan Fawcett came back as the main. I think it'd be good.
Yeah, I feel like everyone would love like a second chance to see him attempt the character or like do the Maker or something like that. Even if they had, as you said, the four people who've played Reed Richards as the Council of Reed, and then him like turning to the dark side as it would, um, or like he's the one who kind of like not always disagrees with the other Reeds, but is almost like kind of like the black sheep of the family is always kind of questioning bits and bobs here and there, maybe something along those sort of lines where it's like it's very noticeable that he's not like always on their side and has kind of like his own motives, and it isn't until like say the end of his universe or his version of Sue, like his relationship with his version of Sue isn't quite working out or anything along those lines. So it's like a full domino effect that's slowly reaching its climax before he eventually snaps and becomes the Maker or something along those lines. So I feel like that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty fine with that. I think when it comes to Doomsday, they're relying too much on previous actors coming back because obviously we have the whole X-Men. 90% of the X.
Yeah.
Obviously they've already said they're not the Fox's X-Men. It's going to be a different universe, which I'm assuming is the universe that Photon ends up in at the end of the Marvels, because obviously she's now in an X-Men universe. So I'm
Yes.
assuming,
Yeah. I forgot about that.
because it's the same guy playing Beast, so I'm assuming it's that.
I
Now,
just need that Beast to say all my stars and garters one like once, and that's the best film ever made. I just need that one fix.
the only when it comes to the X-Men coming back, the only thing I'm looking forward to is the fact that Nightcrawler's actor kind of let it slip that he's had to try on different suits.
Yeah, and Alan Cunning,
Yeah.
what I can't remember his last name. I know it's along those lines.
And obviously, with the MCU, they're very happily to put Wolverine in his original. So I'm sat there thinking, are we actually gonna get the Fox's X-Men actors in like more comic book accurate suits? If that's the
Yes,
case, I'm happy with that.
the bright blues and the yellows. Yes.
Because that's one thing the Fox's X-Men did terribly. Their suits are wank. They are not fucking X-Men suits. I don't care.
No.
Which, going back to 97, did you notice the fact that they actually
Yeah.
mocked the Fox? Because in the Fox's thing,
What did you expect? Black leather?
yeah, they kind of turned the joke on its
I
head.
love that. Yeah.
Honestly, when it comes to 97 as well, I don't think I've ever witnessed a community come together so hard. Because, so, I've got a few content creator buddies and we're all dads. So I made us a Facebook group for all of us to chat in. And
Yeah.
no word of a lie, when 97 was, dropping each episode each week, we've never come together that quick before, ever, on anything since or before. Like, each week it'd be a case of it drops and all of us like, right, boys, don't talk about it, we haven't watched it yet. And we'd all try watch it within like 24 to 48 hours so then we could all talk about it and things. And I was seeing people online always like grouping up together and stuff. Like 97 did something for like comic book, X-Men, cartoon fans for sure.
Yeah. It's just one of the best, like, it's probably one of the best things they've done in a long time. Not only are they going back to the original, the classic X-Men 90s series that people grew up on and just absolutely adore, because it's probably the best X-Men adaptations that's ever been put out in terms of both film, TV, and whatever. And you're doing a sequel to that, and you are doing a justice to that sequel by making it an X-Men TV show that's based like what, a year after the events of the fifth season.
And the thing is, as well, one thing that I absolutely really like is, how I'll use Captain America 4, for example. Obviously, they brought back the fact there's a celestial body, and that's where adamantium comes from. And everything that happens, no matter what it is, I always see people go, okay, but what's happening with the rest of the world? Why isn't people talking about the fact that, Khonshu and Moon Knight reversed the fucking sky for several decades? Why aren't people talking about the fact that, we now know there's underwater people and shit, and nothing gets mentioned ever. 97 did that. That's the cameos we got, when things are going completely tits up near the end. We see it from Iron Man and Captain America's perspective. We see Cloak and Dagger. We see Spider-Man reacting to it. Yeah, sure, it's only for a couple seconds, but they even put attention to detail. It's like, hey, we don't want you guys asking us, hey, what's this person doing? So we're just going to show you a little montage.
Yeah, exactly. Even with Bastion's like grand plan when he's talking to all the people on the screens, you see Baron Zemo, you see Doctor Doom as well. It was just such a. They just did it expertly.
Yep. Is there would you want a sequel to maybe the Spider-Man 90 show?
Well, there is. There's a four-issue limited comic series that's coming out for them. I thought it was going to be a TV show personally, but I'm very happy with the four-issue miniseries that we are getting.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that though. I would prefer to another season, but
show.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been cool if they did a show and then it kind of takes place sort of like in between the last episode of X-Men 97 and then the beginning of episode 1, like what happens in between that sort of time gap, or even it takes place maybe the start of the first episode for Spider-Man 98, I believe it's called. The first 5 minutes is Spider-Man swinging around, and then Magneto's EMP happens, and then it goes through all of what happens in between that sort of street view. And Spider-Man saving people alongside, Daredevil and Cloak and Dagger and all the heroes. And then we see him with MJ looking up at the sky as Asteroid M is hurtling towards the ground, and the X-Men attempting to stop it, and then it vanishes into thin air. And the time gap sort of in between the Bishop coming back to the present day after God only knows how long, and Forge almost giving up hope for looking for the X-Men, and the two of the three of them kind of team up to find the X-Men or figure out where they are, and then X-Men 97 season 2 begins, or something along those sort of lines. I feel like would have been really, really cool.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. We need a Lego X-Men game.
Yes.
We
I can see that happening so easily.
We just need a game where it's all X-Men, Brotherhood. Give us characters that we didn't even know. I've actually got a Marvel mini book of X-Men characters, and there's so many characters in here they could put in. Anyone that's classed as a mutant, Brotherhood, or X-Men character, just give us a Lego game with that, because that'd been really cool.
Yeah, that would be. I can imagine the roster would be unbelievable. The amount of people, even with characters such as Glob, for example, who are kind of known, somewhat known, even Forget Me Not, and other characters like that, who are kind of, well, one of those characters if you know, you know, type guys.
Yeah, there's quite a few that you could do. Oh Jesus, I forgot. Is her name Pixie? I think she was in Next Class or First Class, the movie. Is it Pixie? Is that her name?
Is that the one with the butterfly wings? Wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
You could put little smaller characters like her in it, and because it's a Lego game, there's other things that you could do. Maybe do some alternative characters. So Old Man Logan, for example, make him make it so you can unlock the noir versions, or whatever else is out there that's alternative.
Weapon X or something along those lines, or Omega Red and other characters like that, or the Phoenix Force possessed versions of Wolverine and Emma Frost and Cyclops, and of course Jean Grey as Phoenix and Dark Phoenix, and
Yeah, give
the
us
100
like
other suits she's worn as Phoenix.
give us like Storm with Mjolnir as an unlockable character.
Oh yes.
Make it so you can unlock Beast both as the original Beast, where before he's blue, but Beast as he's blue. And just
The
there's
pirate
so much.
suits of like Nightcrawler and Kitty Pryde and Azazel as well.
Yeah, there's a lot they could do, but we need a Lego X-Men game. We do. It needs to happen, man.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Sadly, Lego and TT games aren't as. So I doubt we're gonna get anything that big ever again.
Yeah, unfortunately. But we can dream.
Yeah, that's that's the only thing us geeks can do these days.
Yeah, unfortunately. Such is life.
Anyway, dude, we've been talking for like 3 hours. It's been an absolute blast.
Honestly, I've had so much fun.
Like it. I'm definitely gonna have to have you come back again at some point.
Oh,
I always,
absolutely, yeah. It's
I
nice
always,
to just be able to like nerd out as well. We just
mm,
even because I feel like we like align on a lot of things as well, and have somewhat like counterpoints to one another as well. Just bounce ideas off of it. It's so much fun to do that.
yeah, man. I always offer my guests to come back anyway. This is gonna have to be a two-part. This is gonna be insane. But I'm happy. Whenever you want to come back, bro, we can pick a specific topic maybe and just geek out for an hour about something very specific, like a game or like a specific character or something. If you want to do
Absolutely,
that.
yeah, man. Because there's so many like I've got so many books in my possession as well. Like there's probably about 30 graphic novels like in my like stacked on top of one another. You got like Major Batman one, Scarlet Witch, Ghost Rider, The Last Ronin, TMNT, my favorite book of all time. There's a whole bunch of like Scooby Doo comics and whatnot lying around. Absolute Wonder Woman, The Ultimate Universe. There's so much stuff that I could just whittle on about for literal hours, as we have been doing, bouncing from topic to universe to IP to IP. So much fun.
Yeah, man, we're definitely gonna have to do this again. It's been an absolute blast. I've actually been following old account. Um, I don't. What actually happened to your old account? Did you lose it or?
No, so to give the full context of what happened, so I made that account probably, as I said, whenever the Gotham Knights like character trailers came out, which I think was 2020. Was that 2021 or 2022? Something along those sort of lines.
Yeah.
And for the most part on that account, I was making like using pre-existing TikTok sounds to create quote unquote funny memes. And then it was I can't remember exactly when it was, but I want to say maybe like August last year. I started to like not like that sort of content what I was doing anymore. So I kind of like slowly transitioned into doing, or fully transitioned into doing like talking points and skits based on like the content creators that I was inspired by, mainly like big names, sort of like Comic Drake, Comics Explained, Nicole Clayton, Sir Superhero, Panda Red, of course. Can't forget about him. And then I very much like felt like I stunted my old account and like kind of fucked it from the get go. So then they made a new account which was purely the stuff that I was just doing now, talking points and skits and things like that. So that's where my account is at now, and I definitely feel like I made the right decision because I made this account, my Comic Nerd 101, in I think February. I think it was like a week or two before Captain America: Brave New World came out, something along those lines, and that was what my first video was on, was talking about Captain America and how he doesn't represent what America is, but instead represents what it could be. And it's just gone from there, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was definitely the right decision, I think, to transition of, because I feel a lot better about this account, and on videos you get a lot more reception as well, and I love the engagement on it, especially on the video I posted recently about a character who I thought was a joke character, but is actually still a very relevant character called Mr. Mind. So that was a lot of fun and things like that. So yeah. That's why I transitioned.
Fair enough, bro. Yeah, that's cool. My original account had like 4,000 followers or something.
Still pretty good.
And because I claim to be a father who's also engaged, but I also make content and I play video games, I clearly am a nobody, sits in his room all day, and so I kind of got a lot of hassle. And
Yeah.
I just kept getting, like, I got death threats and fucking the most, like, I've explained this to a few of my, like, loyal followers, and, like, some people, I've kind of, like, told them, like, what sort of things I used to get off that account, and some people, wait, what? It was that bad? I was like, yeah, it was that bad. So I got rid of
My
it, and I
goodness.
started from scratch. So I'm now, like, almost at 2,000, I think.
Hey, congratulations.
It's going live, man. I found that I've gone live before, and like I've played games and played the stuff, but I found if I just have my phone sat right in front of me, like on my pod, and I just talk to people and like we geek out about games or comic books or whatever the case may be, I found people just want to follow. And like the other day, I went live and we were geeking out, and then it kind of got a bit more personal. People like asked me, I'm not with his mum, and people ask me about like why aren't I with his mum and things. And I ended up making, I know it's not a lot, but I ended up making like $5 from gifts. And that's the most I've ever made off gifts before. And like
Bloody hell.
I gained like 30 to 40 followers in that live. It was only like 2 hours long, 2 hours and a half. And I was like,
Good on
okay,
ya.
fuck yeah. So like I don't mind geeking out with people and talking to people and stuff. So that's the only reason why I grew that fast.
Yeah,
Because
so I always try and keep like my private life private and like my online account like online, which is also why I changed from my old account to this one as well to have that um like different namesake as well, because the other one was Liam from work, and then this one it helps me keep like the separation, I guess is the
yeah,
best way
yeah.
of putting it.
Oh no, trust me, I get a lot of flack sometimes because like some people were like, "Oh, what do you do for work?" And I'm like, "I'm not going to tell you what my job is." And they're like, "Okay,
Hmm.
but you're willing to talk about your son though?" And I'm like, "Yes, because my son literally lives 5 steps that direction." Like you've literally either seen him or heard him at some point or another. Like it's kind of hard not to miss him, but I don't need
Yeah,
to tell you what I do
exactly.
for work. And then they get really assy with me. And then apparently I'm the dickhead, and I'm like, well, no, it's my choice what you guys know, what I'm willing to tell you. And so yeah, I understand that one. Some people can just get really fucking funny about it. Um,
Yeah. uh,
it like
Such is life, and such is being on the internet apparently, because you're bound to find people like that. But
oh yeah,
that's the internet for you.
like apparently to some people who watch me, you can't be a dad and like comic books at the same time. Apparently that's forbidden. And I'm like, you do realize my son's in the comic books too, right? He's a massive Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like when the new Spider-Man cartoon dropped that Marvel did, me and him watched each episode when it came out and things like
No,
this.
that's cute.
Like fucking, like he's a massive nerd. He's in the Power Rangers at the minute, massively into
Good
Power
on
Rangers.
him.
He's only 6, but he's watched Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury, Wild Force, Time Force, and Jungle Fury. Because I'm trying to pick the ones I know that he'll like. Um, and I think the next one he wants to watch is SPD. I think.
Oh,
I was like,
I grew
he's
up on that. That was so good.
yeah. I think he'll like that one, and he's massively into Pokemon. He's a Pokemon fanatic. Um, he likes Minecraft. He likes Spider-Man. He likes Miles Morales. That's his favorite one at the minute. So I'm glad. I like Miles. I'm a big Miles fan of myself. So I'm glad with that
I
one.
actually have a Spider-Man tattoo as well. I have 8 tattoos. 3 of which are comic book ones. Well, technically 4. I'd say technically 4 of them are comic book ones, but despite I
That's
can get
cool.
away with them like not being recognized as the Spider-Man ones.
That's cool. I like that. Well, just before we go, if people do want to find you on, different social medias, where can people find you?
You can only really find me on TikTok at ComicNerd101. If things grow further, then you might find me on other apps. Currently, that's the only one I'm on. I do have plans for like way future plans when life's a little less hectic and I've got a little bit more free time to do other stuff on other apps, but I will let people know when that is available.
Yeah, like I said, we've already agreed you want to come back. So, like, you know, if anything, when things do advance and stuff, we can mention it then as well. So.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So I post 5 days out of the week. Don't hold your breath if I post on Saturdays, because chances are I probably won't. But yeah, you'll find me Mondays to Fridays talking nerdy nonsense, as I have labeled it.
Actually, I quite like watching your videos. I find you entertaining. I mean,
thank you, man. Really appreciate that.
No worries, bro. Well, anyway, thank you everyone for listening. This is, I love it when I can just geek out with people.
And I mean you both as well.
Like, you know, it's just fun finding, especially when someone's willing to do it on my podcast and for this long as well, because this has to be a 2-part. I've got the next 2 episodes sorted, you know, and like that, it just works, man. It just, like, it's so good. I like geeking out with people. So yeah, thank you, bro, for coming on. It's been nice to come back on again.
Loved every second of it, my friend.
And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Of course, if you're on the podcast platforms, don't forget to follow us. If you're on the YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe. And we're a passionate buddy. We love you all, and we shall see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio,
hosted by 3 cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Ty Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channel, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.